This is episode 107 of the Double Cross Anime Podcast. My name's Whooper, and I'm here with Mario.
Hello, everyone.
Today we're taking a break from seasonal anime. We got a new podcast format, plans for the upcoming 13 weeks, or however many we have left this season. We're going to be talking about a pair of films, one recently released on Netflix due to the coronavirus pandemic instead of theaters. That's Whisker Away. And another sci-fi film from the director of Time of Eve. I can't remember what year it was released, but it's called Patema Inverted. And then
2014.
Really? That recently?
That recently.
Oh, okay, wow. 2014 then. And then we have the next 4 episodes of Great Pretender, 11 to 14, and Volume 3 of Pluto, carrying on with both of those series as before.
Yeah.
So we're going to start with the films. Which one do you think is the better candidate to begin with?
I would go with A Whisker Away. That's the first one that I watched out of the two.
Yeah, same.
And it is another movies that written by Mario Okada. So
Right.
I want it to be like a follow up from Her Blue Sky that we just talked just like a month ago.
Well, if this is a follow-up to Her Blue Sky, then it's following it down a staircase into mediocrity.
All right.
I don't know why Her Blue Sky is going down there. I don't. Her Blue Sky can go back up to the good place. Whisker Away, though, I thought was pretty meh.
All right. Her Blue Sky, remember, is about like a frog from the whale who look up the sky. So this one is more like falling down the whale.
Yeah, I guess. I mean, I thought it was okay, but I will never watch it again. I don't think.
Oh, all right. I enjoy it. I enjoy it throughout. I feel like they have like a distinct two parts of the story. I feel like the connection between those two parts is very jarring, but and the ending doesn't hit very well. But like I enjoy these two parts very well.
I mean, the connection between the two parts of the film that you're talking about is literally invisible.
That is right.
You have to be a cat in order to see it. So you probably have to be a cat in order to get the most out of this movie. This movie's not for human beings. Mario Okada's on another level. She's writing for a different species right now.
I think if you love cat and you kind of like the characters, you will like it more. I think because I love cat.
Yeah, I mean, this is definitely a movie for cat people because there's so much cat animation. And before I sat down to watch this thing, I was hearing that all the cats were in CG, and I was like, "Oh my god, what is that going to look like?" I didn't think that that Taro, the main cat,
Yep.
what was CG.
No, I wouldn't think that either. Was she?
No, I don't think so. But that's what I want. Like, I was asking your opinion indirectly because people were like, "Oh, it's the CG cat movie," when talking about this to me. So I was really confused. I did feel like there was one scene where the mask salesman was CG. But even that, I could have been just like reading into it too much because of what people had been saying about the film.
All right, I have no knowledge of of the CG stuff, and I wouldn't find anything that like really stand out in a bad way in regard to the cat's design and animation. So I think they're doing a good job.
Yeah, I thought the movie looked fine. I did think that there were some CG environments.
Yeah, there was.
But they were minor, like Colorido, who did the animation work on the film, tried to hide that as much as they could. It was just like small little movements forward and backward, or like rotating like 45 degrees. In an environment that looked, quote unquote normal for anime. They just made it manipulable.
It's definitely like look cheaper than let's say Her Blue Sky or even Studio Colorido like first feature, which was
Penguin Highway.
Penguin Highway.
Yeah.
That's right.
Dude, Her Blue Sky's backgrounds were gorgeous.
That's true.
they were really really pretty. And in this film, you can tell that. I mean, there are some shots that seem to have been composited, like mostly digitally, I think. And I mean, I'm sure that Her Blue Sky, for example, all those backgrounds were put together digitally too. That's just anime's workflow now. But
Hmm.
I mean, Her Blue Sky just felt very painterly. You know, it felt very. Um, it looked really nice. It felt very traditionally kind of Ghibli-esque, I
Hmm.
suppose. And that everywhere you look in the frame, you get the sense that work's been put into it.
Hmm.
And I didn't really get that sense from Whisker Way like every time. There were certainly lots of pretty views and vistas and locales and all that, but like it's not a film where you can look at every corner of the frame and feel as though like, man, somebody really slaved away over that.
Hmm. That's a really negative way of thinking. When you compliment something.
I mean, I guess I think negatively about it. I would say that because it's not up to the standard that I was, hoping
Yeah.
for. Especially since like, Colorado is supposed to be out here,
They just their
being the
second
artsy
features.
studio.
Yeah, it's just their second features. They are still a very young studio.
Yeah.
But I like up to this, I still have a really high hope of them for them.
Um, I guess. I mean, what are your thoughts about Burn the Witch? Actually, you know what? Never mind. Like, because that's going to be Colorado. But Burn the Witch has nothing to do with this film. So, how do you feel about the main character, Mio?
All right. I can imagine that like the main characters Mio gonna annoy a lot of people because of her like stalking tendency. Um, for me though, I like the idea. I like the idea of like she moonlighting as a cat. Um, and she just follow around and be near the guy she love. I don't hate her. I think she's also another Okada, like typical main characters, and I'm okay with that.
Did you like her Hinode sunrise attack?
No, no, not at all. I feel it's so lame. But
Did you
then
like
again,
the
they
scenes where she was walking through the high school, the hallways of her middle school, I guess, actually,
yeah.
talking about how sexy Hinode's voice was?
All right, no. But then again, I would imagine like a middle schooler would act that way.
Okay, I don't really agree, I guess, because I don't think I was even using the word sexy when I was in middle school. I mean, I had a
Yeah.
pretty conservative upbringing, so that probably
Mm. Mm.
has to do with why I wouldn't use that word. But I don't think a lot of middle schoolers would be walking through the hallway like loudly and openly proclaiming their admiration for the sexiness of their crush's voice, like so everyone can hear. Middle school is a time of deep insecurity and fear. And so you
Well,
keep
she
that shit to yourself.
but she don't have that. She don't have like insecurity, and we shouldn't learn that the way she act that way just because she want to hide some of like her insecurities when it comes to uh like seeing others as scarecrow, I think, and
Yeah.
and 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 coping with like her mom's like moving away from her,
Yeah.
abandoning her.
I did like the scarecrow motif a
Yeah.
lot.
Mm.
Like
Hmm.
the Hinode sunrise attack scene at first, the first one outside the school building, when everything
Hmm.
turns pink, kind of has
Yep.
like a different hue over it. Kind of reminded me of there was a Ghibli film that did that. Only Yesterday, I think, during the flashbacks,
All
it took
right.
on an entirely different hue.
Mhm.
And then everyone turned into scarecrows, so it was only her best friend and Hinode who were left as human beings, so that she had like
Yep.
she could make a beeline for him and uh, ram into him with her buttocks.
Yep.
That was hilarious.
I had someone doing that to me. I imagine if I was Hinode, I would act the same, like just run away from her as fast as I could.
Yeah. I didn't really like Mio very much. I mean,
Mhm.
the idea is that she's supposed to be compensating for how lonely and sad she feels by acting totally genki and
Mhm.
crazy and stuff, but I don't think people do like only 1% of people do that probably, or not even 1%. Like most people will just s- keep things to themselves.
Mhm.
And then in specific moments where someone like asks something of them, then they'll try to display strength and happiness. But they won't be putting out that sort of vibe 24/7, 365 in an
Yeah.
effort to push away how awful they feel. Like that's not I don't think that's normal or human.
Well, I just I can feel I can see the way she no, I can see why she acted that way. Um and because of her insecurity, I can, like, feel that I can understand why that she wanted to, like, spirited away and be a cat. So I think like the whole character's development has been consistent for me.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, I personally, I think that her becoming a cat, just
Mhm.
striking that deal with the mask salesman. We don't actually get to see that bargain, but the very first scene of the film, she does encounter him.
Yep.
It's a flashback, I suppose.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I think that the idea that she wants to be a cat, I think that's enough. Like that's enough to signal to us as the audience that she's trying to run away from something. She's literally running away from her experience of the world as a human being,
Yep.
and she's only
That's
willing to
right.
take it in small doses because she's a cat at night and a human only during the day. Like I think that's sufficient, and I don't think we need all the extra Genki, Hinode sunrise attack type stuff. I don't think that's necessary. I think it just comes off as extraneous because we already know that she transforms into a cat to get away
Yep.
from everything else.
Yep.
She does it to get away from her stepmom, or not her stepmom, but her dad's new girlfriend.
Mm-hmm.
Talking to her about her emotions. Like she literally jumps out the window with her mask, turns into a cat, and runs away. So a lot of the emotional stuff, like the letter, her confession letter being read
Yeah.
aloud by the
Oh my
bully
God.
as
It
well.
just Yeah. It just so obvious.
Yes, very much so, and it goes on for a long time. So like I mean, how
Yeah.
much are we supposed to hate this guy? He's already
Yep.
like for 15 seconds. After 15 seconds of that scene, we already get the idea.
Mm-hmm.
He's being mean. He's he's mean. that's
Yeah.
that's the idea, and it just keeps going on and on. Like, oh god.
Yeah. It's not my favorite part of the film either.
What would you say was your favorite part?
Um. All right. I think my most post it's not about my favorite part of the show, the film, but it's more like I really like the idea behind it. I think it's real it's refreshing to see, like, like she can transform into a cat, and then, like, as the story progress, naturally she, like, gets stuck being a cat. And when they get into the cat town, which remind me a bit of Spirited Away, I like the town as well. I think that if I could say my favorite scene, that would be that, like when they go into the cat town, and you see, like, all the cats just, like, doing their things, drinking,
Yeah,
and
yeah. All those cats in the human cat bar were. I really loved all their designs. They looked awesome.
yeah, yeah, true.
They made the final scene where they were battling the mask salesman way better than it.
Oh
Can you
my God,
imagine if
it
they
just
weren't there and it was just Hinode like ramming into him and falling down
yeah,
and then eventually punching him and winning? That would have been the worst shit ever. But instead, we
it
had lots of neat looking cats to come in and like liven up the scene a little bit.
yeah. Well, I just feel that that final scene just going on and on forever.
Yeah,
Like
yeah,
how many times that Marcel is supposed to, like, get beaten down and rise back again. Like just do it one time.
Yeah, I mean, one time probably wouldn't work.
Yeah, well,
Because
maybe
then you would
twice.
think that, like, what's the deal with this guy? He just gives up after one failure. Uh, but it did. I mean, the issue I think was, well, let me see if I wrote a note about this. Um, I what the mask salesman's like really goofy, right? He's as an
Yep,
antagonist, he is just kind of silly. So
yep,
he's not exactly a credible villain. The the opposition to him, the fact that Hinode and Mio are
yep.
are the antagonists and he's the protagonist. They're or the opposite rather. They're the protagonist and the mask salesman's the antagonist. There's not like
Yep.
an ideological um, gap between them that can like drive the film. So it has to be their desire to return to their human bodies. That
Uh-huh.
has to be the thing that makes us want to root for them. And he's an
Yep.
obstacle to that. But like the drama in their human lives, which is about their
Yep.
relationships to their families and their fears about the future, that feels
Mhm.
completely separate from what's going on in the fight against the mask salesman. So like you
Oh.
said, the two parts of the film feel kind of disconnected from one another. It's because the human drama and the drama
Mhm.
of them trying to get back their human bodies actually stem from completely different places.
Mhm. Can see
Like
that.
their families aren't involved at all in their decision to get their bodies back. That's just the cat
I- Is it
salesman
because
bouncing around
is
and laughing.
yeah? Is it because of true love that
Yeah,
they
I mean
wanted to be able to get?
the film kind of goes into like true love territory at the end too. I just felt like everything was kind of muddled. What I would have loved to see is a film about um, Mio and Kinako, the cat,
Mhm.
who takes her body. I would have loved to see a film that was like more closely centered on Mio's family, with Mio and Kinako, the two cats, being the main characters, and Kinako's like affection for her owner and her misplaced desire to like take the role of her adopted daughter.
Yep.
That could have been given more
I
prominence, and then like Kaoru, the dad's girlfriend, she could have been given like a larger role in that instance.
Yeah, I can see that. I just had a feeling that like when Kinako become Mio, she doesn't really act out of character at all because she's still like a really funny outgoing characters just like Mio. She just like doesn't do some of Mio's stupid stuff, which make Mio a whole lot better.
What makes Mio a whole lot better? All the dumb stuff she does,
That
or
that
the
that
fact that she's not doing it anymore?
No, the fact that she's not doing that anymore make Mio the human, like uh not Mio the cat, Mio the human, a whole lot better characters.
Yeah,
Yeah, do you know what I mean?
yeah, I do. But I mean, the film does, you know, it shows us that something's missing. You
Yeah,
know,
and
because like
and
when,
and
for example, when she's going home and she's bidding goodbye to her friend, whose name I can't
yep,
remember right now, instead of
mhm,
being like, "Don't forget to be my friend tomorrow," okay? She just says,
yep,
"See you later." Like
yep,
obviously the
yep,
quirk is missing, and the film is putting that right in front of our face. I mean, even the fact that their paths home are split like that, using that shot with the row of houses in the middle as they
mm,
diverge is like um, showing us that there's a distance between them, I guess, and that distance is increased when Kinako takes over Mio's body, and she doesn't like try to hold on to her friend by asking her to stay with
yep.
her.
I actually also like the moments where Mio realizes that she can't understand some of the words that her grandpa at first, and then Taro say to her,
Her grandpa.
"Is that grandpa?" Someone say to her,
No, it's Hinode who has a
"Oh,
grandpa, the
maybe."
potter.
Oh, right, yeah, 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 sorry. So he knows this grandpa. say to her, and she couldn't understand some of the word that he said. I
Yes.
like I like the way that the film display that.
There was like a little sound
Uh,
effect.
yeah, that's right. That's right.
And the first time I heard it, I had no idea what that was supposed to signal.
Mm,
But then I got it
yeah,
as it kept going.
yeah. I actually really like it. The way that Mio starting losing, like becoming more of a cat. You can see like a scene before that where she doing some of the cat things. So she licking her paws and all that.
Hmm. Right. And
So
whereas before she had told the mask salesman, like, I'm not a cat. I don't need to lick my
yeah,
butt. Like
yeah,
that's
yeah,
gross. I need to get a shower.
yeah.
Yeah. So you do see her become more and more of a cat.
So I would love to see more of like of that of she starting losing her human side and more becoming a cat and like losing her identity as well. Um, Sadly though, it just like they when they move on to the second part, it just a bit lost. They
Yeah.
just doesn't really do anything with that.
Yeah. Once she gets to the cat town, the whole thing about her like becoming more and more of a cat is kind of put on hold because
Yeah.
they've reached the kind of the climax of the film, and
Mm.
they have to get her to the end, and if she keeps becoming a cat and eventually turns into one forever, then the story is not going to wrap itself up. But
Yeah.
I think that's a problem that the film has overall, like not committing um, to any one aspect in particular. Like I think that this
Mm.
is an issue with the final scene is their
Mm.
conflict against the mask salesman not feeling like a resolution to um, the issues that Mio has at home, or the issues that Hinode has with like not being able to tell his family that he wants to take over the business.
And even
They're just trying to get their bodies back in that final scene. Like them getting their bodies
that's
back
right.
is not equivalent to them working out their issues, which is
Yeah.
why my favorite part of the film was actually the end credits,
All right.
because there's a bunch of resolutions to all of the subplots in the film,
Yep.
including even the ones that were so small, like Hinode's sister confessing to Sakaguchi-san, the assistant
Yep.
to her
Yep.
grandpa with the pottery business, and even the
And
two
then
best friends,
yep.
like
Yep. Yep.
sort of having feelings for each other, and that kind of being hinted at, with Mio like teasing them about it.
Yep.
But even the bigger ones, like Hinode saying to his family, I want to I
Yep.
want to be a potter. Pretty sure that was reserved for the end credits.
Yep. And Mio getting back with her real mother as well.
Yes. Yeah. Why were all those things like those are the dramatic heart of the film? Why are they being resolved in the end credits? I don't. I guess
And
it was more important that they have a fun, bouncy time with the happy cat mask guy.
yep. And don't forget Kinako and her beloved owner as well.
Yes.
Like
What
she
exactly was the resolution there? I mean, she comes home. The cat comes home.
sick and oh yeah, the cats come home and stepmoms really like feel happy about that.
Yeah.
As the post credit, we see Kinako spend more time with Mio.
Right. There wasn't a scene where they mourn Kinako's death, was there?
Yeah, there was.
There
Yes,
was.
there
Okay.
was.
I was remembering that, and I wasn't sure if like my wires were crossed somehow.
Mm.
Yeah, but she does pass away. At least that's what I remember seeing. And they're standing by her grave, I guess. They bury her in the yard. Am I like misremembering all
Not
of this?
sure. Yeah. I'm not sure about that note. So we should double check on that.
Yeah. I
I
mean,
don't
but
remember
the
anything about the grave.
point being, my horrible memory, and perhaps like overactive imagination aside, all these resolutions are reserved for the end credits.
Yeah, yeah,
So the point of the film was not any of these characters' arcs. the point of the film seems to have been, isn't it great to be human? And true love finds a way.
Yep.
And you can
Sure.
you can have fun as a cat, but make sure you don't lose your humanity. I don't know, like.
Stalking your loved one is alright as long as your loved one understand where you're from. All that. Yes.
Yeah,
God.
I mean, film was okay though. It was
Yep.
cute in a lot of places, and yeah, the Cat Island scenes were they all looked amazing. Like I was like, yes, now we're talking. Now I'm getting the Studio Colorido that I wanted to see.
Yep. Love that. I even love like the cat woman. Remember, like she said, like she want to she abandons her newborn child. I think.
Yeah, well,
Uh,
she I don't think she said newborn child.
yeah.
She said
Maybe.
my family and my kids. Yeah, and she
Yeah.
wasn't sure that she was giving them the
And
love that they deserved specifically.
right.
Uh,
It's just like that one scene that like sell her whole character to me.
well, I mean, the reason that they gave her that backstory is to have her kind of be like Mio's mother.
Right. Right.
And then she and of all the human cats, the cat humans or whatever who are drinking in the bar, she becomes the most prominent one who like guides Mio
Yep.
to the spot where she needs to be for the final showdown. Obviously,
That's right.
because she's a stand-in for Mio's mom. But I don't like the moral of the film is spelled out so clearly that it hurts. Like on the boat ride
Yep.
back to the real world, as Kinako is rowing through the field of wheat, which I thought was a really lovely looking scene, and I'm sure it has some like religious or spiritual connotations in Japan that I don't understand. But like she literally says the moral of the film out loud. Like, I know that people care about me, and I care about them. They're not just scarecrows in the background. Everybody has value, and I'm gonna return to my life as a human being. Like it just
Yeah. Well.
here you go.
It.
Here's what the film was about.
Yeah.
In case
Well.
you were confused.
It's Mario Okada, so like they tend to really say out loud what they think.
No, Her Blue Sky was not like that. Think about the way that Her Blue Sky ends, with the main character like having come to terms with her feelings for whatever his name is, redheaded guy, and letting go of that and like looking up at the sky and realizing that the world is bigger than her and her feelings. And all she says is, damn, the sky really is bluer than I realized. And then cut to credits. Like that there's more unspoken in that film than I think her work is known for. And I guess that's, I mean, even if you just contrast the first film of Her Blue Sky, which is the main character, her name was Aoi, I think.
Yeah, Aoi.
Yeah, Blue,
Aoi, I think.
Yeah, Aoi. She's playing guitar in public, right? She plugs her guitar into her headphones.
Yep.
And is playing and like jamming out. And you're left to wonder while she's doing this, what's causing her to feel that way, what's causing these emotions in her that are being brought out in the music. So you're like, okay, what's the deal with this girl? Whereas the first like Mio's trauma or the difficulty that she's having with her family is introduced within like the first 5 seconds. Her mom's like, "Come live with me. Your dad's got a new girlfriend, right?"
Yeah.
Like it's just bam, dropped on your head. They're totally different in terms of like storytelling philosophy.
Yeah. Yeah.
So Her Blue Sky, the best ever. A Whisker Away. It's got cute cats in it.
I still enjoy A Whisker Away. I think it's just on the same level with Her Blue Sky for me. A little bit less, so I still prefer Her Blue Sky more, but not by a wide margin.
Okay. Gotcha. I mean,
All right.
that's okay.
All right. I think let's move on to the other movies that we watch.
Okay.
Patema Inverted
Yes.
by Yasuhiro Yoshiura.
Yeah,
He's like one of the really young, talented animator and directors.
yeah. Actually, what is he doing right now? I feel like I haven't heard anything about
Mm,
him recently.
yeah, I haven't heard from him recently either.
Let me look him
Let's
up on
check.
AnyDB real quick. I mean, obviously, the thing that he's most known for is Time of Eve.
Yeah. So he made Pale Cocoon,
Right. When was
which
this? 2005.
uh 2005. So that was when he was like 24, 25 years old.
Yeah. Let's see here. Anime production major, sort by year. The Mobile Police Pat Labor or reboot.
All
The
right.
short film.
Hmm.
He did that.
He did some of the shot in Japan Animator Expo, a
Right.
young animator training project.
Oh, Harmony, 2014.
Hmm.
Oh no, Patema Inverted was actually 2013. It was Harmony that was 2014. But
Oh,
since
right,
then,
right.
he's only done a couple like really short projects. He kind of disappeared.
Yep.
So
Which kind of a shame.
yeah, because this, I mean, watching Patema Inverted and like seeing the the hybridization or the fusion
Hmm.
of like romance and sci-fi concept, I was like, this guy is just what Shinkai should be.
Okay.
He's a better Shinkai.
Yeah.
Um, and now he's just like pieced out while Shinkai continues to churn out his
All right.
his stuff.
This this is just purely my guess, but because Patema Inverted was uh made by Studio Rika, but I think it's his studio. So I think so my theory would be that he doesn't have like enough fund in order to make another feature length movies.
Yeah, I mean that's possible, I suppose. Um, I don't know. I don't know what the deal is with Studio Rika, like what they do
Well,
apart from
even
his work, apart from
yeah,
putting
that's
together
right.
the concepts that he wants to direct. I'm sure they do other stuff to keep the lights on.
Yeah.
Um, anyway, that's the thought I had
Anyway,
watching this. Like this reminds me of Shinkai, but better.
oh better. I really really like the concept behind it.
Yeah. Yeah, you want to talk about a
Um,
film with a good concept? This is leagues beyond. Girl turns into cat.
I,
This is some extremely ambitious stuff.
I still don't really make sense. Of the hugging things. Like they cancel out each other force,
Well, it's
gravity
gravity. Like
force.
gravity's pulling on their body in opposite directions. So, the guy being a little bit
Yep.
heavier than the girl means
Yep.
that they'll slowly fall down towards whichever way his gravity is oriented.
All right.
Whereas
Hmm.
later in the film, when they're trying to rescue Fatima, and it's Ag and whatever the other guy's name is, I can't like Proto or what was that dude's name?
All right. All right. Just go on.
Porno.
Yep. Porta.
Porta, yes, Porta. When it was Porta and Ag doing the hugging
Yep. Yep.
thing,
Yep.
Porto was a little bit heavier, so they slowly floated towards whichever
Uh,
part of the room
all
his
right.
gravity was pulling him towards.
Kind of makes sense. All
Yeah,
right. This is.
all it needs is to kind of make sense because the characters do the rest.
Yep. Yep. True. I just love the world building because there are a lot of settings in the films, and it hints on a a brand new society. That's something that we can see in Kino Journeys, or like even Mushishi. So I really love that. Um, um,
I mean, I'd say the
I
closest point of comparison would be like
Yep.
dystopian novels.
All right.
Like we're talking like
I was thinking of
1984.
something like from the New World. Actually, yes.
Um, I guess I'm thinking it just like Brave New World. Like from literature. It's
Mm.
just a lot. Everybody having to
Mm.
look down at the ground.
Yep.
Everything being extremely like people having really limited freedom and That's one of the first things that I noted about like what AG says to Patema after they're together in that little hut or shed. He says,
Mm-hmm.
"Oh, well, I have to go to school because if I don't, I have to worry about like citizenship and surveillance."
Yep.
So
Hmm.
they're part of a surveillance state.
Right. I love the
1984.
way that like, they look up the skies and they all feel that all the stars are beautiful, and we didn't know that like later on that it was like the whole lost city over there up in the sky.
Yeah. Oh, I loved that scene when they're like floating through the air.
Yep. Yeah.
And
Yep.
they're looking up, and at first you think that they're looking at the stars, and then the film holds on that shot for like I don't know 20 seconds or something, and
Yep.
slowly as the clouds clear, you realize they're not stars. That's not what they're looking at. I was like,
Mm-hmm.
damn, that that was pretty cool.
I was expecting that there was like another society in there, up in the sky because like why not?
Right.
But yeah, it's alright. I just feel like the characters though, especially like the main antagonist, is a bit one note for me.
Oh, I mean, he definitely is. He reminded me of the bad guy from Now and Then, Here and There,
Yeah, true.
Hanzo.
Well, but the bad guy in on that show was like I think he got more dimensional than this one
Are you
because
are you kidding? He was literally insane.
he insane, but this one is just like a one note insane.
That's what Hamzo was. Hamzo was just crazy and nothing else. He had nothing else
You
going for him.
Yeah, well, you can see the way that like his madness goes. For this one though, he just like for me he just bland for me.
Well, he was afraid. He was afraid
Yep.
of losing control of this, the society that he had built and was
Yep.
like orchestrating. But he also wanted to be chosen to like escape where he was because when Patema and Eiji in that really cool scene where like I can't remember exactly how it happens, but they like fly up into the sky. Um,
But all right,
you
both
remember
of them.
when they're on top of that tower, and Patema has that weight on her ankle that's causing her to
Yep.
giving her
Hmm.
extra weight. Uh,
Yep.
the scene where he grabs onto her,
Yep.
and she lets go, and they both like rocket up into the sky. Later on,
Yep.
as the villain whatever is reflecting on that, he's like, yet once again, someone apart from me was chosen to go to the other world. So he's looking for an escape.
Right.
Um,
I didn't get that on myself though. I remember that scene you were talking about, and I think on myself they just say that once again, why did Pantena didn't choose me?
why Patema didn't you? Okay, that's not what mine said.
Yeah, that's what myself said. Like he lamented the fact that Patema picked AG, and they like fly up the sky instead of him.
Well, does that even really make sense?
That doesn't make any
I
sense
mean,
to
he considers Patema
to
to
me.
be like a a crass and disgusting sinner. Why
Yeah,
would he be like, why didn't
but
she pick me?
yeah, but he enjoyed the fact that that Pantema life depend on him.
Yeah.
He said that several times. So like when Pantema didn't do that, she hold on to AG. He just hated that. That what impression I got from myself.
Okay. Um,
It doesn't make any sense. Jesus.
I didn't. So what was the lost city in the sky? Was that the
All
like
right.
all the buildings that got
All
thrown up
right.
into the atmosphere from the reversal of gravity at the start of the film?
Yeah. So they start up with the experiment, and then like the world snapped into two. So like I think that Lost World is like the world where Edge is staying now, but like all the loose part just like floating away up there. So like the low society of AG,
AG's the kid.
the kid of the city where AG live.
Huh?
Do you get that?
No.
So it's just like original there is like one
Yeah.
universe, and then for some experiment that snapped into two. So we got like AG world and Patema the underground. The world upstairs at edges, like all the building just snap, and like all these remaining just got up into the sky, which is like the lost world that we see.
But it looked far more organized than just a random cluster of buildings that got thrown into the sky after gravity reversed.
Yeah,
It
because
looked like a place where people live.
I think that was because it was an advanced society before that. So from the remnant of that loss, that in antagonist, I don't remember his name, building up like his society as we see now to control everyone.
Okay. I don't really understand that. Nor did I
Yeah,
understand
well,
at the end of the film why suddenly gravity was reversed and like Patema was able to stand on the ground.
I do think that it was like the original world.
Yeah,
So
see
yeah,
that's where
So
the film loses me a little bit.
yeah. It too ambitious that like I don't even get all the twists.
Yeah, I think if you watch it a second time that might help a lot.
Yeah.
And this is the kind of
So
film that I'd be
I
willing to watch a second time because I thought the characters were pretty good. I mean, they were obviously archetypes. You
Yeah.
know, there was the explorer, the explorer girl, who wants to see the real world because she's been underground her whole life, and then there was the guy who's like obviously he's missing his father, which is like his call to adventure, and the girl who's like who has the explorer spirit pushes him to join her cause. And I mean the characters they're very familiar. If you've seen like Laputa, for example, from Ghibli, then you know the deal in this film. But just their adherence to that formula is kind of what makes them strong. Because on top of that formula, we also have this really interesting sci-fi concept, and like their attraction to each other is, it goes against the fact that their gravity pulls them in opposite directions. So they actually have to work together and come to understand one another in order to offset that phenomenon.
I just feel it a bit convenient that like Pantema just appear right in front of AG. Like the two of the kind. Like they don't really belong to their world. Let's say
Yeah. Well, that's the point, isn't it? Like both of them are kind
that's
of
a
like
bit of a
outcasts,
point.
and so
Yeah,
they
yeah.
they end up meeting. And I mean, convenient meetings like that are the backbone of of
Yeah.
like stories.
Yeah, true. I love the attention to detail of the world building note. Like I really love the way that the underground seen the enemy of the Batman, I think, and they would tell tales about like Batman just kidnap and kill children to scare children away from go into that underground
Yeah.
tunnel. I love that. I just love like there is some like established custom from that society.
Right.
I would love to see more from that. It just hinted for like the first 5-10 minutes of the movie.
Yeah. And all the scenery was really cool too. Like the entire underground facility where they live. the first time we saw it, it was right side up, or at least that's what we thought. But then
Yep.
when Eiji comes down to the underground world to form a plan to rescue Patema with whatever his name is that you
Yep.
said earlier, and I can't remember. Then everything that we see,
Porta.
yeah, Porta. Then we see everything that we saw the first time, but upside down because now it's Eiji's perspective.
Yep.
So I just thought the use of, like, especially the scenes where we're looking at something one way and then the camera slowly turns over.
Yep.
Those were all really neat. And the way that the film played with like weight and gravity, though it didn't always make sense to me. Like, for example, the final scene at the end where
Yep.
they're standing on like that little barrier that eventually crumbles, so they go up to the real the real world. Before that, like the every gravity being reversed, and then like Jack or whatever the henchman's name was shooting Eiji with the gun. And everything happening so quickly, I was completely lost. I was like, "What the fuck is going on?"
Yeah. Well,
But
you
know,
when you watch something that play around with gravity, that bound to happen. You know, like a lot of things that doesn't really make sense.
yeah. I mean, the core idea of two characters like grasping onto each other, gravity pulling them in opposite directions, and the one with more mass being like dominant in that physical exchange, and being pulled down. You know, that I thought that made sense to me for the most part. And it was a really interesting. You know, they had to design the world and all the different sets, so to speak, and arrange them in such a way that they'd be able to get the characters from one place to another using those physics. So that in itself, like, not just the different backgrounds that they had to, you know, paint or design or whatever, but positioning them in relation to one another so the story makes sense is really, like, I just think that's really cool that you know, they were able to accomplish that.
I love those as well. I was about to say something, but I just lost my train of thought. So you continue on.
Let's see. What else is there to say? I mean, mostly I just think that I thought the characters were fine. And I thought that the concept was really neat. The visuals were pretty good. The character designs in this film, like, they remind me of, you know, kind of like, you know how whoever Hosoda gets for his character designs, his characters are flat. You know, they're like Kagenashi, very little shading to round them out. The characters in this film kind of remind me of what Hosoda's characters would look like if they were given a little bit more texture and shape.
All right.
So that's cool.
That kind of makes sense.
That's cool because I like those. I like that style. It is very vanilla. I will say that.
Yeah. Personally, I don't really like the character design. I would prefer a Whisker way character design more than this. Let's say that. There's just one little scene that popped back in my mind. That I feel like the direction of the film is mostly good except for that scene. Remember where the first time these two characters meet, and then Eiji had to go to the school. And then we got like a shot of very sentimental music going on, and then they would cut that music.
And then she was like, "Don't forget about me, okay?"
Yeah, they did that like 2 or 3 times, and I was like, that was clumsy for me.
I actually thought it was pretty funny.
All right, so it worked for you.
Yeah,
that's good to hear. Yeah.
Yeah, because I mean the music swells so obviously. Like it's what's corny is not the music being cut out, but that the music is like so emotional in the first place. So cutting it out, like you know, they're going for humor there. And I honestly think that works because the film in that moment is acknowledging the fact that it is a very simple Laputa-esque adventure story with characters that you have seen before. And so it's providing a little commentary on that, I think, with that scene where the music breaks. so that Patema can be like, "You're gonna come back, right? You're
Yep.
not gonna leave me alone so the Batman will come and like murder me, right?"
Yep. Right.
I
So
mean, the scene that I thought that was pretty ham-fisted was the one that came after that, which was like
the
AG in the
one where
classroom looking out the window and
yep.
like losing 3 points because he's looking out the window. Like, what is this? Is this Hogwarts? But
Yeah,
with
because
gravity, I don't know.
the sky is supposed to be for loser for
Right. Yes.
how do you think about the Lagos and Echi father's subplot?
I thought it was neat. You
All
know,
right. Hmm.
I thought it was cool to get that reveal, which had already been hinted at. Um,
Yep.
and I mean, you can tell most of the twists that are hard to predict in the film are the ones having to do with like the physics.
Yep.
Um,
Yep.
and even apart from that, like for example, the scene where what's the girl's name? Patema, where Patema like scrambles away from the Batman,
Yep.
and he's
Hmm.
you know she sees him in the tunnel there, but he can't pursue her because if he did, gravity wouldn't be
Yep. Yep.
he'd fall to the
Mhm.
ground or fall into the pit.
Right. Right.
So she
Right.
like scrambles away and then she leans against a railing, feeling that she's safe, and then she just like the railing breaks
Fall
and she
down.
just vaults over the surface
Yep.
into the abyss. When that happened, I was like, what, huh? What's
Yep.
going on? So that kind of stuff was hard to predict for me at least,
Mhm.
but everything else was pretty easy to predict. Like for example, the first time we ever see the villain guy and he's talking to someone about being a sinner,
Yep.
you can kind of guess that the person who he's talking to is Patima's dad. At least that's what I thought. That the chief Lagos was Patima's dad. So I was able to identify that right away, and like the fact that Patima's dad, quote unquote, being Lagos, was on the surface, it made sense to me
Uh.
that he had encountered AG's dad. I thought it was going to be some situation where like both of their fathers were friends, and then the children
Mhm.
end up together.
All right. I don't think that Lagos is Patema dad.
No, he's not.
Like,
He's not.
all right.
But
Quote
in my
unquote.
mind originally, like
Yep.
that's how I categorized him.
Yep.
Um, so all that stuff. So the reason I'm going on this little ramble is that you said how do you feel about Lagos and AG's dad, that subplot. I mean, I thought it was satisfying because it was possible to
Mhm.
like when you see that all the pieces from before like fall into place.
Yep.
That's how we developed the technology to make the flying machine.
Yep.
And then you see a record of that in the diary, the journal.
I would just say that like everything that related to that bad guy was bad. Like was really ham-fisted.
Dude, you got to
Apart from that
rewatch
though,
Now and Then, Here and
it's
There. You got to rewatch it because this guy was literally just the villain from Now and Then, Here and There. If you
alright.
rewatch it and you pay attention to all the Hamzo scenes, in every scene he's just literally a crazy man. Then that's it.
Yeah, remember when he's hold out AG for the first time and give him a little warning. It would be sad for a family that have like two accidents
Yeah.
or something along that line. And I was like, oh my god! Like from AG flashback, we can really see that AG father had been shot.
Wait, he was shot?
He was shot.
Oh, I thought
He was shot by.
I thought he was pushed out of the flying machine. Like I thought someone else
I-
was hiding in there and pushed him out. Although you know what, it's really small, so no one would have any space to hide, and that makes no sense at all.
Yeah. Well, he was shot um, by the Batman henchman.
Jack.
What was Jack? All right, Jack. Jacku. Yes.
My subs just said Jack, but I guess you would say it Jaku.
Hmm.
So we probably just had different. Our subs are
Sub.
probably just very different. But luckily, like the nuance of the dialogue is not really what's important in this sort of story. It's about just like looking at it and being like, "Whoa, that's pretty cool."
Yeah.
That's
yeah.
they're they're manipulating gravity by putting two opposite forces against each other. That's pretty cool. And I mean
I'm
the idea that they're able to do that because of Patema and AG's specific weights
Yep.
kind of like contributes to the idea that they're supposed to be together.
Right.
Because if she were a little lighter or if he were a little heavier, this entire film would not even get off the ground, pun intended.
That's
It
true.
wouldn't work. But so
Yeah.
their weights and given their circumstances, even their specific body masses are like perfect for each other.
Yeah. I would say that looking at the poster before I watch it, I would imagine a more um, straightforward, a more like embarrassing story, love story. Not this. So I come out really satisfied. I just feel like the ending is a bit too rushed for me again.
Okay. I mean, I would say that the ending was like confusing, but that's just because I have small brain syndrome. And I didn't totally understand, especially at the end, like how gravity had reverted back to normal, or perhaps this was a different place that we had never been before. Uh,
All right. My theory is that it was a new place that we haven't been before, and my theory is that it was that way so that it's meant to be revealed that Pantema and like the underground when they first thought as like the inverted, they actually like the original people, and those from AG society is the inverted people.
yeah, I guess that makes sense. But then when you think about the structure of the world, so let's say at the end,
Mm-hmm.
where we were, where Fatima was standing on the ground, um,
Yep.
and Ag and Porta were upside down.
Mm-hmm.
You even looked up at the sky and you saw there was a ring around the moon. So that ring was obviously the debris, like millions of tons of debris that flew up into the sky and formed that ring around the moon
Yep.
because it got caught in its gravity and started orbiting. Um, so if we work our way down from there, so Fatima's standing on the ground in like the real world at the
Mm-hmm.
very end of the film. If we work our way down, aren't we going into the center of the Earth?
Yeah, and that's about to be the underground people living
Right.
there.
But then we keep going through the underground and we get to the place where Ag lives.
Yep.
How can we see the sky there if we're still going down underground?
That is true. Maybe because that was like the entire artificial world, where that sky is just man-made.
But if you think about it, the part of the
So
film where Ag and Fatima like float
so
up to the city in the sky, that's actually
yeah.
like the center of the Earth
Hmm,
because they kept going up. But if everything
yep.
is inverted, it would actually be them going down.
That that is true. Yes.
I don't understand that.
All right. When it comes to physics of this film, it have a lot of twists. So that's why like sometimes it just doesn't work.
I
I
mean,
can say that.
I just don't really understand it. Like I haven't put it all together. Um,
Yep.
but it was cool. Like
It's cool.
I was
It's cool.
constantly admiring the backgrounds and thinking about how neat it was that the characters were able to navigate their physical realities by relying on each other's body weight and having to scheme to come up with ideas to get up a tower when they're like one of them is
Mm.
actually upside down, and it was all just pretty well threaded together for the most part. I just think that like at a fundamental level, I'm not sure if it totally makes sense, but
Yeah.
on an entertainment level, yeah, it was fun. I liked it.
Right. I would still prefer Time of Eve more than this though. But it is just better than what I expected. So yes.
All right. Well, we spent about 30 minutes talking about each film, so we've done an hour.
Yep. All right. So I would say we talk less about the two below. So like 20 minutes for each.
Probably. We'll see if we can keep it
We
to that.
say.
I mean, I don't have nearly as many complaints about this arc of Great Pretender as I did about the previous one.
That's good to hear.
Because I'm still mad about like what happened with Abby's character, and that
All right,
the show thought that was okay to just like
Yep.
kind of push her out of the way and make I don't even remember the guy's name at this point. Luis. Make Luis like make it all about his story at the end. I was like, I'm so mad. But for this one, not as much.
All right. This one. So the focus is on Cynthia,
Kind of, yeah.
and of course our main characters. But do you actually guess the thing that Makoto did at the end? So like he swapped the real one instead of the fake one.
No, I
Or he
didn't guess
cut
that.
to feel. No. I get. So because I don't really get his what his reasoning was about.
Oh, yeah. I mean, the reasoning didn't make a lot of sense, and this is actually a problem with Great Pretender is that it's like it's so hell bent on Makoto being like a really sentimental and fundamentally honest person. What he was trying to do was like respect all the effort that Thomas put into the forgery.
Right.
That's why he sold the actual painting worth like $1 gajillion to Coleman. Because to him, the effort that Thomas put into the painting is more important. So he wanted to preserve that one and not give it away.
All right, don't really get it.
Yeah, it doesn't
Why
make a
don't
lot
you
of sense.
sell-
And honestly, when Great Pretender tries to have a character fiddle with the con that they're doing in order to like, you know,
Be
make
more
sure that justice
sentimental?
is served, it doesn't really work out for me. But honestly, the Makoto switching the paintings had very little impact on Cynthia's story. So I was okay with it. Like, it's not as though Cynthia's character was betrayed based on his decision.
Right. I love Cynthia backstory. I think that is like a really typical backstory that we got from this type of characters. But I love it all the same.
Yeah. No, it actually is better, I think, that it's typical. It's better that Cynthia is not like, you know, some world-class con artist in the making from a young age. It's better that she was once innocent and that innocence was like taken away from her.
Yeah, that's right. Because we already talking about like how we think that Lauren and Cynthia was like natural born a swindler.
Yeah.
And now that we learn that Cynthia was not. She was, you know, like leading a happy, penniless life before getting, you know, like betrayed by her love and become who she now.
Well, was she betrayed? Would you say she was betrayed?
She she wasn't really that betrayed, but you know, like they just you know, like they just doesn't think the same way anymore.
Right.
That's come to my second complaint of this act, and I really love this act, by the way. Was that the painter, the fake painter Thomas, he tried to buy up all the fake painting that he did. So that's why he was in debt.
Right. But then he's convinced by Edamura to paint another forgery. I mean, this guy has a conviction that his forgeries should never see the light of day. He has a conviction to the tune of 2 million pounds, and he's in massive debt, and it's like crushing him. But Makoto's like, no, bro, do it for Cynthia, man. LOL. And he's like, well, I guess you're right.
Yeah. Well,
okay, go ahead.
I no, my complaint was just like how did he can buy only 3 painting without, you know, like making no one making a fuss about it. No.
I don't know.
It was like the 3 lost painting, supposedly lost painting that have a lot of value.
Yeah.
So like if one of them was removed or were bought by someone, it would have been like people have will have a lot of talking about it.
Yes. And if
Not
all
like
three were
this.
bought by the same guy,
Yeah, true.
yeah, it. You know what? Honestly, if you examine Great Pretender too closely, it doesn't make a lot of
If
sense.
yeah, if
Like,
only apart.
yeah, it's pretty much just like a smooth, good time
Yep,
to hang out with and like admire the like crazy backgrounds and
yep,
and have fun with a bunch of lovable
hmm
con artists.
yep, yep,
And
true.
I think that's okay, honestly.
With with
Um,
some doses of character development from them.
yeah, yeah.
Yep.
I mean, you get to know who they once were and perhaps how they became who they are now. But like in Cynthia's case, in the relationship with
Thomas.
Thomas, she was the one who was like against the
Right.
lavish lifestyle of luxury. She was
Yep.
okay eating beans like every
Yep.
day for the rest of their lives as long as they could be together, and he wasn't like giving up on what she saw as his dream.
Hmm. Hmm. Yeah.
So with that in mind, the fact that she's willing to give up this this cushy life,
Hmm.
how did she become a con artist who is like all about money?
Yep.
I don't think we're
I
ever
would
going to
love.
find out. I think this was just the
Yep.
Cynthia arc, and now we're done.
You will. If it ever have like a second season, we might see some more of that. But so far, I love how they portray her. Sorry, not betray.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I mean, Cynthia's great. I love her backstory, and we even got to see Chris from episode 6.
Who is that
Um,
guy?
do you
Chris.
you remember at the start of episode 6 when they run that illegal boxing ring
Oh
underground
yeah, yeah, yeah,
and
yeah,
they
yeah, yeah.
swindle that guy?
Yep,
He fired Chris. You
yep.
remember? At
All
the
right,
end,
yeah,
she was living in a trailer, and it was her birthday, and her son says, "Mom, come quick!
yep,
There's a briefcase for you out here," and then it says
yep.
London on it.
Oh right, right, right.
And
But
Cynthia's like riding away on her motorcycle, like, "Happy birthday, Chris!"
yeah,
It's because they used to
all
be
right.
coworkers at that coffee shop in London.
Yep, 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 yep. All right, that makes sense now. I didn't really catch that, but yes. Wow,
Um,
love it.
yeah, that was cool. Honestly, I would have loved to like get a story about Cynthia and Chris.
Yep,
We hardly hear anything about Chris. She's just kind of there.
yep.
Uh,
Um,
but they only have 4 episodes to tell this whole story, and
yep. That's
that's
true.
already like not really
I
enough.
Yeah, I would say that for episode format is make the whole story neater than these 5 episodes for me.
Yeah, but it doesn't really make
Enough.
sense. You know
It's
what else doesn't make
alright.
sense? Why are they using their real names all the time?
Yeah, well,
Why at the end
and
when Laurent is like, "Here, pay me here. You got to pay me here by the end of today," and he like slides the card across the table, and it literally says Laurent Thierry on it. He,
maybe that's not his real name, but
that's possible. I would actually love that if we
I
got a reveal that like well, Abby's name is probably not Abigail Jones, right? 'Cause she was born in the
yeah.
Middle East.
Well, the thing is, like she using that name, she have that face, and everyone know her as like the famous Czech driver. And now when she appear in like uh another cases like that, people would know, like
Yeah,
would recognize her face.
yeah.
But no, this is Great Pretender.
I mean, I I think it's fine in general. It does nag at me, like why aren't they using fake names? But for the sake of simplicity, I think that's probably why they do it, just so it's more readable for the audience. Which
Yep,
is the same
yep,
reason why everything is in Japanese.
yep.
Even though they try, like in the first episode, they did do some English and stuff. And that actually reminds me, in episode 11, do you remember how Edamura or Makoto, whatever, was working at
They
the
speak,
sushi place?
yeah, they speak French.
Yeah. So his boss is speaking Chinese.
Yep. Hmm.
Um,
And
and
yep, and
Laurent
it
and we hear him quit in Japanese, and then Laurent comes in and says, "I guess that answers your question about his French." What? I don't
yep.
understand that. Like, are we supposed to assume that that Japanese was English?
No, 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 no. We're supposed to assume that that Japanese was his French. He couldn't speak any French. Let's see.
Yeah, no, he couldn't because the
Yeah,
boarding
well,
house where
that's
he's staying, we hear him say like a few French words,
yeah,
and nothing else.
yeah.
So he mostly
Mhm.
talks in Japanese, which is supposed to be English. Like he needs
Right.
news broadcasts translated for him and stuff.
Yep, yep.
Um, so when he was speaking Japanese in that sushi scene, I think it was supposed to be English.
Uh huh.
And so then his boss speaking Chinese was also speaking English, I guess, because he could understand him. And
No,
that's why
maybe.
Laurent comes in and says, I guess that answers your question about his French because he was speaking English. It's just like, it's too confusing.
All right, all right. From what I understand, whenever they speak Japanese, that automatically English,
Yeah.
and whenever they speak like in other languages, it was that languages. So like if the guy speak in Chinese, is that the guy speak Chinese and Makoto speak in English, and they just they don't understand each other very much.
But they did understand each other. They were having a conversation.
Yeah,
Like, for
well,
example, he was saying you got to, his
and
boss wanted him to pack the rice really tightly. And then, well, maybe he could have just seen that he was packing the rice tightly, and then Makoto would have objected and been like, no, you got to make it loose.
yeah, maybe because that owners always thought Makoto as Korean as well,
Right.
which is funny.
It
All
was,
right,
sometimes I get lost when the show is trying to do like multilingual
yep,
stuff.
I can
And
see
when
that.
all the characters are using their real names and when their backstories don't exactly lead them. Like we also don't know why Abby ended up as a con artist, and we don't know how Cynthia ended up as a con artist. We
Yeah,
understand what happened to them in their past that kind of make them
I
into the person they are now, but why are they here?
yep. Well, I think that reserved for like another act. Like the manga is still ongoing. I think
Manga?
it's based from the manga.
No, no, it isn't. The manga came out after the series.
All right, all right,
This actually happens a lot in
all right. So
in
this
Japan.
is like original stories.
Yeah.
Cool.
I
All
like,
right.
for example, Evangelion had a manga,
Yep.
but
Yep.
it wasn't based on it. Like the TV series came first, and this happens a lot with anime originals. They often
Mhm.
get manga adaptations
Yep.
that come out like around the same time,
Mm.
which I don't really
I think
understand. Like, why can't the
I
anime stand alone? I guess it's all about
that's
profit.
right. I think Utena did that as well. They have like another entire manga with like different stories.
Yeah.
All right, back to the case. So we got Coleman, and they try um, double cross him basically. He's like one of the men that we all love. Uh, to like
Love to hate.
that's right. He's just so hateable.
Yeah, he's really rude. Like
Yeah,
it's
he
not just that he's shady or anything like that. He's just extremely rude. It's not just that he is, talking badly about Farah, his
yeah
lover, behind her back. I mean, obviously that would be awful, but like when he goes into in episode 14 when they go into this mansion where this mafia auction is taking place
hmm
and they walk out of the coat room, he's like, that coat room was just terrible. The guy's manners in there were just awful. Like
yeah
he takes issue with literally everything. He's
yeah.
just like a little gnat. He's so annoying.
I was thinking though, like, yeah, I was thinking though, like, why when he see that painting, the snow of London, I think,
Yeah.
the snowing, why don't he bought? Why didn't he buy it by his money? So that it could be his. Like why he wanted to auction it and for like a bigger price for that.
Because I think that's like the part that he's playing for the public is like
Right.
he's an art critic and an art like auctioneer, and he's doing all this for the service of
Yep.
art lovers
Makes sense.
everywhere.
Yeah, makes
That's
sense.
why he has Farah buy all the paintings that he's interested in, and she
Mhm.
has her own private collection that he can go and see. Because he doesn't want people to get the impression of him that he's like a hoarder and that he's keeping the good shit for himself.
Mhm.
So that's why he auctions it off, I guess, and that's why Farrah's supposed to buy it, but she doesn't. She hesitates because she's having doubts about Coleman, I think.
No, because he doesn't have like enough money at the time.
Well, I mean, there's that, yes, but then there's also that discussion that Laurent has about like that all four of them have at Lauren's hotel room, maybe when he's talking
Mhm.
about like the heart of a woman is impossible to know. Like she understands that Coleman is like a hack and that
Yep.
he's totally selfish, but she pretends, like she deludes herself into thinking that he's a good man. And
Mhm.
Lauren's like, ah, yes, the heart of a woman is so fickle and so difficult to understand. And then then Makoto sitting next to him is like, ah, yes, of course. uh,
Right.
See, that's the show is fun, like it comes up with little
Yep.
scenes like that. It's fun, even when sometimes you're like, what's really does this make any sense at all?
No.
Um,
I really love the scene where like Cynthia trying to push the money over and over. Like we all know that like it's gonna happen. We
yeah,
all know that Coleman will like bite. Uh, but like the way they did that was really thrilling for me.
gotcha. Yeah,
Uh,
it's nice to see Cynthia get her revenge, right? Because
yep.
we see in episode 11 at the start of this case, um, she recognizes Coleman and she's like, "We're pulling out. We're not
Yep.
going to be able to trick this guy, so let's get out of here." It's because she knows who he is, because she's had an experience with him. She's met him,
Mhm.
so she gets to have her revenge. Um, and at the end of episode 11, like she's tipsy, and I think it's at the end of 11. Is it? Let's see. Yeah. At the end of episode 11, they're all in Lauren's hotel room and she's tipsy and she's like,
Yep.
"We're going to get revenge on this guy. We're going to roast him like a pig." And I was like, "Yeah, you go, girl." At that point I didn't really know like
Yeah, the
anything about what the story
backstory.
was going to become, but
Yep.
I want to see Cynthia get her revenge on this guy, which
All
she
right,
does. So
but
that's what makes the auction scene at the end
yeah.
fun.
All right. So the 100 million pound that he paid, was that from Farah or is that
It's
from
his own.
his
It's
own
his own
pocket?
money, I guess, because at
Yeah,
that
that would
point,
make more
Farah has
sense.
heard the recording.
Yep. And is he pulling out?
Yeah. So I guess he had
Well,
100 million pounds.
somewhere.
Huh?
Man, this guy's rich.
Yeah. Well, he
Or,
was
or,
like
or
an
maybe
internationally famous art appraiser and stuff. So
yeah, or maybe he just like do it on credit or something.
how do you get 100 million pounds in credit?
I I have no idea, but like I would love the fact that like he not only selling all of his saving, but like he had to be in debt in order to have the painting. I just love the idea.
Yeah, they got him pretty good.
Yep.
Um, so that's it's nice. They got their mark. I
Yeah. So
just
it's
the
yep.
whole Cynthia and Thomas thing I don't think really flew for me, because like
True.
Edamura is trying to convince Thomas to paint this forgery,
Yep.
um, because like if he wants there to be closure between him and Cynthia, like they can go back
Hmm.
to how they once were. That's how he phrases it. And he says to Cynthia later, "You and Thomas are still the same people you used to be." Like, Edamura's naivete does not fit with the current version of Cynthia that we see in front of us. Like, she is, despite the fact that she was once a young aspiring actress who was working, a crappy little waitress job, she's a con woman. Like, and in the flashback to the restaurant scene where Thomas breaks up with her, he's like disgusted. Or I'm sorry, in the present when they're at the restaurant where they once broke up.
Yep.
Thomas is disgusted by the fact that she's a con artist. He calls it a bad joke. Like, so I don't understand why he goes through with painting the forgery. If Cynthia being a con artist is so objectionable to him, why does he do it?
I think it's more because of only Cynthia see the talent of his, like for his true talents.
So because Cynthia sees his true talents, he decides to paint a forgery, which she hated.
Yeah.
When they were still together.
Yeah. To pay her back.
I don't think it really makes sense at all.
No.
But
okay. I feel the same as you in regard to Great Pretender, writing. So it just don't go too detail on everything because everything just fall apart.
Yeah, I mean,
but I
think the script is good. I just don't think that, like, thematically
it's hold it all together.
Yeah, I don't think the themes are really solid. But all the characters having their little banter and stuff. The humor is there. The drama is sometimes there. And it's just very snappy, breezy, and fun.
Yeah, that's right. And the act is really good as well.
Yeah,
like,
dude, I love. Yeah, for sure.
So for 3 acts already, I love all 3. So I didn't have the problem that you have with the second one, but we still got like
9 episodes to go.
9 episodes. So like 2 more acts.
Yeah, I hope they come out this year. Although if they don't and they come out in 2021, then Great Pretender can be anime of the year 2 years in a row.
Yeah, that's true. It's not quite the level of my anime of the year yet. Not sure though. The year is still young.
I mean, what would you say is anime of the year so far? Eizouken, maybe?
Maybe this one or Eizouken, yes.
Yeah.
I will have another thing, but I do think that the fall season look pretty good.
Really?
Like that, I have like 2 or 3 shows that I really want to watch.
I mean, I have one. It's Fumetsu no Anata E, or whatever that show is called. I have really high hopes for that.
I have that one and the other one about witch.
Oh, I think that's probably just going to be like knockoff Kino's Journey with cute girl.
I don't mind that.
I don't know. I don't have particularly high hopes for that one.
All right, yeah. I don't know why I have like a soft spot for anime witch. I think.
Did you like Flying Witch?
Yeah, I love Flying Witch.
Yeah, I thought that show was cool.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
I think it was in my top 10 for that year.
Because like if we're saying about witch like Harry Potter, I was like like Western witch, I was okay, not really that into it, but like anime witch, it's like a whole selling point for me.
Ah, yes, this is my fetish. Anime witches.
Surprisingly,
not disgusting Western witches.
Well, all right, we still have like another volume to catch.
Yeah, Pluto.
So let's go with Pluto. I think thing got a bit clearer.
Wait, what? You think that this volume made things clearer?
Some of the some of the detail are like making more sense, I think.
Dude, I feel
All
completely
right.
the opposite. This is Urasawa up to his usual tricks of introducing like a million side stories and
Yeah.
completely. Do you remember the teddy bear and the president of Thracia giving the State of the Union and the teddy bear hooked up to the giant artificial brain behind him and there being
Yeah.
like a conspiracy
Yep.
there?
Yep.
That was completely abandoned in this volume. Like Urasawa was just like, well, I'm bored of that now. Now it's now it's time for three other side plots.
All right. I don't have the name of them, so Hoffman, I think, is the one that appear in volume in I think chapter 9. Professor Ochanomizu.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry,
Well,
not the one.
Ochanomizu is just an Astro Boy character. He's Astro Boy's quote unquote dad.
All right, sorry. So he appeared in I think chapter 17 or 18. He's the one
Oh,
who
yes. I know who you're talking about. His name is Adolf.
Adolf. All
Yeah,
right,
and his
Adolf.
last name starts with an H, but I don't think it's Hoffman.
All right. So Adolf.
Wait, which
Um,
version are you reading? You said you downloaded it, right?
I downloaded it,
Okay.
so not really sure.
All right. Well, my guy. Well, you know what? Actually, let's. I'm sure there's like some kind of fan wiki or something. Pluto,
Hold on.
Adolf, KR, because he's part of the KR.
Oh, right.
Yes, his name is Adolf Haas.
All right.
Haas is his last name. So I was just calling him Adolf.
Mm-hmm. All right. I will just scroll a little bit because maybe they have like uh the translator. So the translation that I got here.
Yeah, and to
All
be
right.
clear, you're talking about the guy whose brother was killed by the zirconium shell because his body was ground into a pulp.
Yep. All right. It just taking too much time. Yeah, I was talking about that guy and the brothers. I think reappear. No, not reappear. So like
No, he's dead.
we see like
We see
no,
a
he's not.
flashback.
Yeah. So we see the flashback of the brother, but I think like the guy later on who always say that like you make my body, and then he have like a little of bugs
Yeah.
inside his body. I think that was him. That was the brother.
You think that was Adolf's brother?
Yeah, I think that was Adolf brother. So I think like the whole thing was that he was supposedly not killed, but like he was transferred from like the normal body into like the robot body, and now he worked for like hitman, or like
But he
to
looks
do odd
nothing.
jobs.
He looks nothing like Adolf's
I
brother.
I feel like the face looked familiar, with like the younger Adolf brother that we saw in the
I didn't
flashback.
get that at all.
Alright.
The robot guy with all the bugs inside of him, who was associated with Professor Abra.
All right.
He had like a really kind of squirrely looking quality to him. Like he kind of had like a rat looking face, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't remember Adolf's brother in that flashback where he confesses that he's like killed a robot,
Mm-hmm.
and he steals the book,
Yep.
or the laptop, whatever it is. He didn't have that sort of face. Like he was kind of a normal looking guy, I think.
All right. And back to Adolf. I think the book, the manga had give like a reasonable reason why he hate the robots.
He's essentially in the Ku Klux Klan.
Yep. Yeah.
They're wearing those hoods.
That was so obvious. That was so obvious.
Yeah.
But they did acknowledge that.
They well, that makes it worse, I think. I mean, coming at it from a Japanese perspective, maybe the Japanese won't have been educated on what the Ku Klux Klan are in school.
Yep.
So they
All
might
right.
need that to be spelled out for them.
Um,
So I guess that it makes sense.
yeah, just like the moment that they wear those costume and doing those things, I was like, oh my god, why we have like these guys there?
Yeah.
We all know.
Um, I don't know. It's it's kind of goofy, I guess, but I mean, there's lots of anime. Even God of High School episode 3. There's a scene in the cold open of that episode with a cult and they're all wearing uh hoods, like KKK hoods.
Oh, all right.
And do you remember Nadia's Secret of Blue Water? Do you remember what the bad guys wore?
Uh, yeah, that's right.
They wore KKK hoods.
Yeah, that's right. Yes.
So I don't know. Maybe
Yeah.
when Japanese people discover, like when they learn about the KKK and how active they were in America during, you know, the pre-civil rights era.
Mhm.
And I mean, the KKK is still around today. They're just like a tiny fringe group.
Yep. Mhm.
Anyway, maybe
All
when
right.
Japanese people find out about them, they're like, "Oh man, this is some really cool looking iconography. I can put,
Custom.
yeah, I can put this in my series to represent you know, bigotry and discrimination, and that'll make me look like a genius, like I'm a researcher."
All
Uh,
right.
Yeah, so
So
he discovers, you know, his son's textbook. He finds out that Gesicht is the Zeronium robot guy, and so now he's trying to kill him. So that's one of the side stories that was introduced in this volume.
yeah.
But then we also had everything going on with Professor Abra. We also met
Ye-
Pluto, and there was
Yep.
also the stuff happening with Uran. And Epsilon was introduced. Do you remember like 2 weeks ago, you said
Yep.
there's a woman, like one of the super robots is a woman.
Yep.
It was actually this guy, Epsilon, just because he has long
All
hair.
right.
He looks kind of feminine.
Yep. I was about to say that with robot we don't really um differentiate between their genders, so between male and females. But I think that was just uh, uh, just criminate for me, discriminate for me.
I
So
I think you're probably good on that front. I don't.
so yeah. All
I
right,
mean,
going on.
Astro or not Astro, Atomu is definitely a boy, and Uran is a girl. Like the reason
Yeah,
that
true.
we refer to them that way is because their bodies were made by human beings, and that was obviously their intention. You know, it's so if Epsilon looks like a woman, you can be like, hey, one of the super robots is female or a girl. It doesn't really matter. What's important is that Epsilon is like he kind of seems to be like the most powerful of all
Hmm.
the robots, which is why he received like so much backlash for not participating in the Central Asian conflict. Um, and instead he's like raising war orphans,
Yep.
one of whom saw like a mysterious silhouette in the desert and
Yep.
says Bora, which
Yep.
is now what Pluto also
Pluto.
does.
Yeah.
This kind of stuff from Urasawa always grinds my gears. Like, who knows if this even matters? It's just the intrigue of it that he's concerned about. Are you still there?
Yeah. I'm still there.
Okay. Like that link between Pluto and this kid that Epsilon is raising. It might not even mean anything, but boy, it sure is like a cliffhanger. You know?
That's right.
So I don't like, and the last chapter in particular, man, like
I
where Pluto makes the whirlwind, you know, the same kind of tornado thing that the killer can make, and
Mhm.
he makes rain fall from the sky and flowers are growing, and then like horns appear on his head after all the main characters show up in one place, and then his body was just a fake body, and then he comes out of the. I just had no idea what the hell was going on.
Yeah, I was thinking the same as well.
It's kind of sloppy.
I was like, no, because at first I was like, yeah, I think I know the direction where the story goes now. I was thinking that like maybe the killer was the kind of like the mix between human and robot, just like a professor,
Abra.
not Professor Abra. So that we don't really recognize why like they didn't give any choice, because
Right.
they still function as a robot, but they have like the human like ability to kill other humans. That's what I think at first, and now it's come to the twist that like Pluto is just like a wandering soul, like collective souls, I think. So it's more like the antagonist, the in Ghost in the Shell, maybe.
Is
So
that what we were
that
supposed to understand?
I have no idea. I think what I'm supposed that what I understand about Pluto, this Pluto characters now, is that he's like a collective way from like maybe from orphans, wild orphans, from like all these people who experience the world.
Okay.
That's what I got.
So that's why he says Bora or whatever.
That's why he said Bora, yeah, because he
Bora.
experienced that as well.
How are you
I
supposed to
don't
say
know
that?
why Bora.
Bora.
I can't say no why that make him an ability to grow plants and like grow life, but
Yeah. And he like emerges from the water at the end, and he's like some
yep,
weird sea creature, which we
yep,
saw at the end of chapter, what was it? At the end of chapter 16, like there's a beast in Central Park,
yep,
and it's growling, and you're like, oh, what is this? Is this Professor
and
Abra? Because he asked for
yep,
directions to Central Park, and then
yep,
I
and
just don't understand what's going on.
and apparently Uran heard it,
Right,
so
because she
she
has the ability to sense like fear or sadness,
yep,
um, which I don't understand like scientifically. How would that be possible?
yep. Well, they are robots like humans. They can do
So
everything.
Pluto is supposed to kill Adam. That's a pretty important plot point. That's what. Uh,
Yep,
is Professor Abra? Is he Doctor Abra? Like, what is his title?
he's professor, I think, Abra.
I kept writing Professor Abra in my notes,
You
which was
kept writing
I
that,
think
right?
that was how Inspector Tawashi referred to him in the first chapter of this volume 16, when they
Mm-hmm.
have their meeting, and
Mm-hmm.
he's like, "Oh, don't worry, we don't suspect you at all."
Mm-hmm.
Even though he's obviously like you just look at him and he's obviously some sort of criminal.
The bad guy. Yeah.
um,
I I would say he's like he's now been framing as like the mastermind behind everything. Actually,
yeah. So what's the deal with like the teddy bear
Pluto.
behind the president of the United States, which was supposed to be the mastermind in the second
Maybe
volume?
that was him. Not sure. Not
Maybe
sure about
maybe
the
the
teddy
teddy
bear.
bear is Pluto as well. He's like a collective of souls that inhabits teddy bears and weird construction equipment. Do you remember the panel in chapter 23 where there's like a construction bot or something that says, yes, this is my all-purpose body, which has been
Yeah,
operating without its electro brain? Or there's just so much.
I have no idea
I
what that
always have this
scene.
issue with Urasawa's stories.
All right.
He's just throwing stuff into the story just to see, like it reminds me of how Ikuhara tells
Yep.
stories, except
All right.
Ikuhara does it with great style, whereas
Yep.
Urasawa is just like, yes, okay, so we're adding this plot point and this one and this side story and this character, and now they're all part of the story. Good luck, everyone, trying to figure things out.
Does that eventually make any sense? No, who care?
Yeah, well, I mean, I stopped reading 20th Century Boys midway through because I just like the
Well,
story changed into something new so many times that I was like, oh, I'm not really interested
that's
anymore.
right. The story, that story did close up very well, but there's a lot of plot points that I still not quite sure. Like even I read all this stuff. I even like I pay close attention. So I would expect the same will happen here in Pluto as well.
Well, Pluto's shorter, so that's cause
Yeah.
for hope, I guess. But
Yeah.
I don't know. But what did you make in chapter 20? What did you
Mhm.
make of the conversation between Epsilon and Gesicht in Central Park? Because Adolf, at that point, the story with Adolf had we'd gotten his backstory,
Yep.
and we learned about his membership in the
Yep. Yeah.
KR and his hatred for robots. So he goes.
Yep.
Adolf goes to Central Park with a gun, and he's
Mhm.
intending to kill Gesicht, who he
Yep.
knows will be there. But instead, he witnesses the meeting between Epsilon and Gesicht, and Epsilon
Yep.
says to him, "You're the only one with the right to arrest our enemy."
Yep.
So does
I
Epsilon know the killer's identity? Does he know who
Nah.
the enemy is, and that's why he knows Gesicht is the only one who can do this?
I don't think so. I just think that Espilon just regard Gesick as like the because of his pacifist tendency. So he did not want to fight, and he had the power to do so. It's like some sort of stuff. But I think like the main reason for Adolf, Gesick and Aspilon in the same scene, so that Gesick will say something about peace that would change Adolf's mind about killing him.
Did that actually happen?
No, that not actually happened, but I think that what gonna happen.
What do you mean? That happened in chapter 20. We're on chapter 23 now.
I mean like when they come back to that story, which is the next volume.
Oh, so you think that was just put on hold for 3
Yep.
chapters, and that
Yep.
when we return
Yep.
in
Yep.
in volume 4, we're still going to be there in Central Park?
Yep.
That doesn't make any sense to me.
I would say that, yes.
Didn't when you read a story chapter by chapter, don't you usually assume that let's say there are 2 main stories, and the first one is the first 3 chapters, then story B takes place over the course of chapters 4 to 6. It's logical to assume that time is still passing in story A, right? As you're reading another story, time is still supposed to be moving forward.
Yep.
Eh?
Or maybe they moving forward, but like with a flashback back to that scenes, because it like after chapter 20 we haven't like finished that night yet.
I guess. I don't really remember how it concluded. I guess it just didn't.
It just didn't. No.
Well, I mean, don't you think it's weird that Gesicht was established as the main character and he barely shows up in this volume?
Well,
It's mostly about Dr. Abra,
and
Adolf,
Atom.
and
Yep.
Pluto.
Yep. Well, we haven't seen Pluto at all until like the last 2 or 3 chapters.
Yeah, it's the last 3, but he's the focus, because
Yep.
Uran finds him and he's dying or something, and she gives him the energy, blah blah blah, the painting and everything else. But Gesicht has kind of been sidelined, and it just feels weird that has happened. I don't.
Yeah. Well.
This
again,
reminds me of watching Monster and Tenma disappears for episodes at a time while we learn about somebody else.
Yep.
I'm
Again,
where
like
is
you said,
Tenma?
this is like Urosawa's story, and he tend to do that. He tend to like making a big story and then tangent it with like a small story with like full development small story, and put the main character on in the size like at the time.
Yeah.
So I'm not too surprised to see that Gear 6 had been like mentioned very briefly in this volume, and I would expect the same for the next few volumes.
I mean, I don't mind that as an idea, like putting the main character on hold so you can come up with other stories. It's just it seems to me that the I don't know that the person who's writing this is becoming so fascinated with these other avenues that like the main character is kind of pushed away, or not even pushed away. They're just left where they are, and the story itself moves to a new place. Rather than the main character being put on the bench for a little bit, they're just left in their original spot, frozen in place, and then we go off gallivanting on some side street.
Yep.
I mean, I'm sure that if I rack my brain, I could think of authors who write this way, whose work I actually enjoy, but it's not really working for me here. And I mean, the moments like in Volume 2, the conversation between Gesicht and Atomu about like Adam's fascination with life and his empathy for it, when Gesicht is like blown away by Adam's humanity, or what resembles humanity. I didn't get a lot of like interesting scenes like that from this volume because it was so preoccupied with putting new characters, contextualizing their place in the story.
Don't you feel the same way when Uran just say that she have like a special, like a sixth sense when it comes to the pain and the scale from other animals? It's fascinating.
Is it? I mean, I knew that about Uran before I started reading Pluto.
Oh,
that's a trait that she has. She can talk to animals. At least she can in the 2003 Astro Boy adaptation.
Yep. I just think like this volume is just building up, so it's like a bridge.
Yeah, but that bridge needs to be stable.
True.
That it can't be like one of those jittery rope bridges that are in like every anime, where the characters have to cross really slowly, and then one of them puts a foot in the wrong place, and that little plank of wood falls, and you see it splash into the water. That's what this volume was for me.
Why do I have that image just very clear right in front of me?
Because I'm sure you've seen like 50 different anime where that's happened.
True. Yes.
And it probably comes from other places. I doubt that's just Japanese. Or maybe it is. Maybe that's like a staple of Japanese engineering is bridges that look like that.
I would say that some other adventure movies like Indiana Jones, they have that as well.
Yeah, probably so. It probably comes from elsewhere.
Yeah, or maybe they just copy from the anime.
Yeah, man. Maybe anime is the source of all storytelling.
Yeah, true.
I mean, they made the Bible into anime. Maybe it was actually the other way around.
Oh God, think about that. The 7 deadly sins.
That's right. Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood is the genesis of all storytelling.
Yep. All right. I think let's just wrap up with this week.
Okay. I honestly don't care to read any more of Pluto. Like,
really?
I thought this was a mess. Yeah. Right. And I mean, I'll read another volume, but I don't. This isn't interesting to me.
All right. I would say like try out the next volume to see like if we want to continue with it or not.
Yeah, I'll read another one.
All right.
Sure. I like Adam and Gesicht.
Yeah, I think I like all the character. It's just like the general structure. It's just everything that they put not into place right now. So it's like doing the the puzzle,
Right. Yeah, I would rather try to put together an Ikuhara puzzle than an Urasawa
Yeah,
puzzle.
yeah. It just take a lot of effort.
A lot of effort,
Yep.
eh, I guess. A lot of patience.
Yep. All
But I
right.
got I got seasonal anime to watch, man. I don't have time. I'm so
That's true.
busy.
All right. So that's wrap up like ours this week of the podcast. So next week we're gonna next 2 weeks we're gonna do something different as well. We're gonna do the team episodes of something from the same topic, would be same genre, same directors, anything.
Yeah, same
So
theme.
we will announce that soon. When you hear us back in 2 weeks, you will be there for surprise.
Sounds good.
All right. See you then.
Goodbye.